uh, awesome products that we've created in the last couple of years. So let's go ahead. 3 ways to use ChartIQ. So what we're going to do is take a look behind that curtain and take a little look at our software development kit that we provide to all of our prospects and clients. I'm Jimmy Stevens. I'll be your presenter today, and I have been with ChartIQ for 3 years. I'm an engineer on the pre-sales side, and previously I worked in insurance and in financials over there as well. I was also a science teacher prior to that. So our agenda today, we're going to talk about 3 main things. The first one being the basics. We'll take a step back and talk about building a chart. Then we're going to talk about the 3 ways an end user can use ChartIQ's products, and then the 3 ways a developer uses ChartIQ's products. With the basics, we're going to talk about what a charting library is, what a charting solution needs, and then how it looks in our development kit. With the way the end user is going to use it, we'll take a look at our Trading Central template, our Estimize template. Both of those are partnerships that we have with those companies where we have built a template to incorporate their data pretty easily. Then we'll talk about one of our newest templates, the term structure template. And then how that what that means for you, because you want to turn on this this technology, how that looks for a developer to do that for you. So we'll open up that as well. So what is a charting library? At its root, a charting library is just this. It's just a screen with an XY Cartesian coordinate system, and you plot data onto it. All right, and that's what you're going to get no matter what charting library you look for. This is the crux that you're getting out of the package. Now, what do they need? Well, first, every charting library needs data. Pump in the data, and then you visualize it. The next thing, though, is interface controls. Now, every charting library provides that initial XY coordinate system, but not all charting libraries provide additional interface controls. So what is that chart if you can't mess with the chart? You can't hit any button that manipulates the chart. And then the last thing, the whole point of any visualization tool is so that you can make a complex decision and then do something with that decision. So the charting solution needs to have an ability to act. Whether it's adding more indicators or actually placing a trade, these are actions that you need to be able to pursue after you've made an evaluation based on the data you're seeing. Now, how about the ChartIQ software development kit? How do we satisfy these 3 main principles? So let's take a look. Okay, so the first thing you get with our charting software development kit is a UI with that chart. Then we have additional modules such as this item on the far right, this panel that has market, buy, short, the up and down, and the strangle straddle arrows. That's an example of being able to place a trade from our chart. So the ability to act, your ability to have a call to action. We also have additional templates out of the box, additional user interface controls. So again, our core package, you're going to get that initial chart. If you want a hello world type example, you'll get a chart with the user interface such as this, and then you could get a chart with additional template where you can get 2 charts at once with 2 user interfaces over each chart. That core package also comes with a single user interface, but multiple charts controlled by that same one. Now, additional software development kits that we have templates for may include items such as providing the calculations of our studies. So maybe you just want the calculator itself, and you want to be able to take data, process it through a calculator, and spit that data back out. You don't necessarily need all of the visualization tools. Well, we take out that calculator and allow that as a product as well. Another item is if you want a really short runway to development to have your end users be doing something complex as a very active trader, we've got templates where you can already take advantage of the charting library, the trading from chart, call to action ability, and any other visualization tools that you may need, such as order books and trade books, or those blotters as some of them call them. So let's go ahead and take a look at 3 specific templates, the 2 that we have partnerships with through Trading Central and Estimize, and then one that we've recently released, our term structure template, and let you know what an end user's experience would look like if you took those templates out of the box from us. First, a little bit about Trading Central. The first one we'll take a look at. With Trading Central, they're solving that issue of being able to take a look at a security over time and analyzing it against an indicator. And then they want to be able to confirm what they're looking at. So get additional input from Trading Central to give you a nudge of what this indicator is telling you. So you don't have to try and think about it. Now, if you're a really powerful analyst, you may have all that stuff in your head right away. Or if you're a powerful analyst and you just want that nudge to go, am I looking at this correctly? Trading Central provides that. The other end of that scope is, what if you're a new analyst, you're looking at the chart and you want to know that what you've learned and what you've experienced is making sense. Again, Trading Central satisfies that portion as well. And we've integrated that into one of our charts seamlessly and it looks great. So the cool thing is, before we jump into that little demonstration, is normally as an analyst, you're going to take a look at data and you're going to try and make a good decision. But you're going to have to usually go to several different windows, applications, whether the application is online and free or if it's a proprietary application and it's internal. The point being is you're still looking at multiple windows and you're trying to contextualize all that information into the mind's eye, into your own head. On the left, I have an image from a website that did a good job at providing a relative strength index with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 different windows all on one page. It's still 6 different windows, not on one chart. And on the right-hand side, you've got a snapshot of our Trading Central integration where we've put almost all of that information onto one single chart. And you can contextualize it. You don't have to put it in your mind's eye. You put it right onto your computer screen. Let's take a look at that demonstration right now. So here's our template. You guys can see this as well if you go ahead and copy down that tcanalystviews.demo.chartiq.com, and you can see this as well on your own. We've got a handful of live data feed going to a handful of symbols or securities here. And up in the top right, you're going to see this unique little button called Trading Central. So if I click that button, and then I click this drop down, before I do, I just want to let you see, we've got some resistance bands shown here. Click that drop down. And now I've got some information about a relative strength index. So if I didn't know anything about a relative strength index, I at least know right away that this thing is telling me I've got some resistance bands at these values. Okay, and if I click these, I get some more additional information. It says it's the first line of resistance. Now, I'm not a trader. It's a disclaimer here. I'm just showing you what our visualization tools allow traders to do. And in the end, the ultimate decision is whether to buy or not buy. And right here, you've got great information all contextualized onto one screen, allowing you to make that decision faster. So let's go back to the demonstration and we'll jump into another one. Estimize. What does Estimize solve? Okay, well, Estimize is a really cool company in that they go and they take a lot of data points from a lot of smart analysts and they try to distill it down into one single number. They use the power of law of large numbers. When I was in insurance, our actuaries did a really cool test. They took a picture of a cow and they sent it to thousands of people and said, guess the weight of the cow. The data they got back on the weight of the cow, they put together an average of those numbers and it came within 1 pound of the cow's weight. Now, looking at a picture of a cow, you should not be able to guess the weight of the cow. There's no context. But it's interesting how when you have that many people guessing, you actually get a relatively close answer. Well, Estimize takes thousands of really, really smart technical analysis or analysts, and they take their responses back and they try to predict what an earnings would be for a certain security. And they put it into one, well, with us, we put it into one window. Now, again, let's compare what you would normally do. Wall Street's saying that, hey, the next earnings report for company XYZ is going to be a certain value. You may be thinking that's on, that's off. Well, I'm going to go do my research. So again, you've either got proprietary applications that help you do that, separate windows, or you're going to go online, use some free sources, look that up and find out what you can. Now, why not just use Estimize, integrate it in with a chart like ours, and then you can see it all on one screen. Okay, our demonstration, we call it visual earnings, and we'll go ahead and take a look at that as well. Now, again, there's a lot going on here, so I'm going to go ahead and break it down real quick as best I can for you. The top panel here, where you see the chart powered by ChartIQ all the way up to the symbol of Apple. You've got these vertical lines. Well, those represent each quarter when you've got quarterly earnings coming out. And then we've got these little values on that vertical line, one labeled with an E, one labeled with a W. The E is for Estimize's value. The W is for Wall Street. So basically, it's the predictions of what at that quarter Estimize was predicting the earnings report would be, and at that quarter what Wall Street would be. Quick disclaimer, we're looking at simulated data, so we're not pulling in live data for this demonstration. The data is agnostic, so it doesn't matter. The template's going to be able to do this no matter what data you give it. So we're giving it random data, and we're also giving it random values for the earnings reports. But the concept is sound in that you can see that Estimize has a predicted value, Wall Street had a predicted value, and then in the panels below, we get to actually see what those actual values were. And then this middle panel, it's just a neat little icing on top where we get like a color visualization. So if it's green, it tells you that the actual earnings was higher than the predicteds, even the Estimize predictions, even higher than the Wall Street. And if it's red, then it tells you it was lower. So let's go ahead and move forward, and you kind of get even something even cooler. You get what the predictions are currently for the next quarterly earnings report. So integrate with Estimize, get that predicted information from really smart people, from a lot of them, so you can get a really accurate context before you hear that report come out. Again, and then do your call to action. Make a decision with that information, and we hope you can make that decision with just one charting frame of reference. So let's go ahead and jump into our next template. Our next template covers term structure. Now, we use the phrase term structure because it's originally designed for our target audience. Our products sell mostly to financial institutions, but it doesn't have to be, because in the end, it's just a chart. And a chart can plot any sort of data as long as it's got your X coordinate and your Y coordinate. Now, our term structure template is going to chart your yield curves for different entities or securities. Now, but what I want to point out here is in this template, it's really just a tool that provides XY coordinates or categories. This sounds like common sense, but it's not. If you're not a developer on this call, then you probably could ask one of your developers who's worked with any charting library, and they'll tell you that the majority of them take a date value for the X, and then a Y value being any value you want, whether it's a percent or it's a number or anything. So the X coordinate value, if it has to be date, it means the computer is only going to read a date. It's not going to read just any number. For instance, this chart on the far left, let's zoom in on its X coordinate. The X coordinate shows you 2020, January 14th, February 14th, March, etc. You get the idea. So the X coordinate is all date values. The computer can only read date values with this charting library. If you pass to it any number, like just 1, 2, 3, 4, that doesn't have a date to it, it doesn't render the value and the chart doesn't work. So with our term structure, what we said is, let's make that X-axis agnostic, which means not care. It doesn't matter what it is, just put it on there. So if we take a look at this, we'll zoom in on this middle chart's X-axis, and I just, for example, plotted negative values to positive values. So again, that's not a date. That's really powerful for a charting library. Not all of them can do that, and our template with the term structure provides you that ability out of the box. Now, to take this even further and bring the point home, I've got 3 items in the X-axis of this third chart. First group apples, second group oranges, third group grapes. These items are independent of each other, and the chart can plot it. So it's very cool technology. Again, it sounds like common sense, but not all charting libraries can do that. So let's go ahead and demonstrate this as well. So here we've got the US Treasury benchmark, again, simulated data. And as you can see, we have 1 month, what its simulated value was at current, and then I've got a historic one below it. So that's a 1 month security today, what that yield would give, which is somewhere around 2%. And then here's a 2 month item. And I say item because these are not sequential. These are categories. These are notes that you purchase based on that maturity date. So this one would mature in 3 months. This one would mature in 6 months. It's not saying this is 3 months, now 6 months. So again, if you're not familiar with yield curves or term structures, that's just a little background information. So we really like this item. So for the term structure itself, if you're not familiar, or if you are familiar with term structure charts, just know that you're rarely going to find one that can add historical values live at the same time on your chart. So very, very cool item. And it looks like I already have that one in there. So we'll go ahead and add 1 year ago. There we go. So there's your year ago as well. So present, year ago, week ago, whatever it was. And you can put those all on there and compare them against each other. Very, very cool item. So we've talked about 3 templates as end users. If your clients were going to use our product through you at the end of the day, if they were out of the box, that's what they would experience. How do you do that as a developer? Now, we're not going to go into the weeds as how a developer would do this, but the idea is to let you know that your development team is going to have a very short runway to immediately testing and taking a look at our library. How we do that? Well, again, it comes back to those templates. Every library is just going to give you a chart, just that little square chart, and that's it. but not every library is going to have a way to manipulate that chart out of the box, which is a user interface. We provide a handful of user interfaces no matter what package you purchase from us. And it's really easy to get started. Even if you're not a developer and you record this video, you could get this going right away. So one thing you're going to need is a text editor. You Google it, you realize this is what developers all use. And the most famous one, at least for me, is Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into that and show you how we get this going. First, I'm going to open up my Finder so I can find my files. And second, this dreaded black screen called a text editor. You may have seen a lot of your developers using this. Let's go ahead and just give you a sneak peek into how this works. It's not too scary once you start messing around with it. Okay, so what I've got here is my ChartIQ directory or folder. I received this when ChartIQ or when I requested a license from ChartIQ. They send me this folder. You send this folder to your developers and you say, make it work. Well, the developers are going to do something pretty simple. All they're going to do is they could click Hello World right here and open it up from their actual text editor. So here's my Hello World. All right, and right away, they're going to be able to go ahead and demo it. There it is, right? That's the thing every library gives you. It's Charting License 101, but there's not much you can do with that. I want to immediately see what I can do with this license, okay? So let's go ahead and bring us back to center. We're going to go back into our directory or folder stack. Now, we want more examples. We don't just want Hello World. So we go into our examples directory. We have templates. Templates is another cute name for your actual application. So you could just replace that word templates with app. And we want to get the advanced chart and go ahead and take a look at that guy. So I'm going to go ahead and move him right over here. And that's all you have to do. Immediately, to get started, you just have to move your hypertext markup language, your HTML file, into the proper directory. Then you'll see it moved in right here. It's now in my scary black code text editor. And now your developer could immediately just go ahead and turn this one on. And there it is, your full chart. A lot more than just having your Hello World like this. Okay, you can now mess with it, all your different controls, things like that. Any one of the display controls you want to add, periodicities, etc. Now you can test out the functionality of that charting library with a proper user interface before you even have to dive into the code. But you may have noticed something going on here. We're missing that little button up here that gave us Trading Central or Estimize. Am I going to have to go over a huge hurdle to get that integrated? No, you don't have to. So let's go ahead. I'm going to center us back here again. Let's go ahead and show you how to do that. Let's go to the very end. You usually get what's called a commented line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull up one that I've prepped for you guys. So we'll go into our templates and we will take a look at our technical analysis template. I'll move it over here so it works. I'm going to open that guy up. And there it is, my technical analysis. And look, here we go. So we're going to dive into a little bit of the black code. It's kind of scary screen and just teach you something real fast. Every computer will read code that is not commented, which means that if you take a line of code, you tell it to read it, it's going to do that line of code. But if you comment it, you basically tell the computer, don't read that line of code. Now, the cool thing is that if we tell the computer not to read a line of code, then we can add whatever notes we want to put into that line, and the computer's never going to know anything about it. For instance, ChartIQ thanks you for joining our webinar. The computer did not read that line because I've attached these little carets around it that basically says, this is a comment, don't read it. Now, every charting library you get, you'll actually get this line right here. It tells you, uncomment the following lines if you're using these plugins, these additional things that you may have added to your license. Now, we've got two additional lines down here, one for the Trading Central, and then again, one for the Estimize, but labeled Visual Earnings. And all I have to do to uncomment these is remove the carets on the outside. I'm going to do a fancy little thing where I hit Command and then slash, and that removes the carets. Now, what happened? Let's go ahead and take a look at the chart now when I removed the Trading Central or the commented lines around the Trading Central line. We'll open it up, and there's the button. All right, now that button that wasn't visible is now there. So that's that easy. Your developers can take this out of the box, throw up a sample or an example template, then add the plugin that they added to their license, and now it's running. And this one, since it's simulated data, it's not pulling in any information. However, it doesn't matter. Once you provide your live data, you're working with Trading Central, you're going to have your template ready to go. No downtime, all uptime, you're working. Now let's do that again just for posterity's sake. I think I said that word right, but it does not matter. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Estimize one just to deliver the point. We'll go live again. See, I didn't uncomment it. Shame. Let's see here. And then now it's uncommented. Those carets on the outside have been removed. You see my chart updated. And now there's our little jar of marbles saying you've got a lot of information, law of large numbers coming in now to plot this. Turn on each one of those values, and we can power this with simulated data to deliver the point that you can use, or you can get earnings reports for each quarter. So there you go. Very, very cool. Now, the last one I haven't shown you is the term structure. We can go ahead and open up that one as well, just for fun. Now let's see here. I apologize. I have it in the plugins. So term structure. No. Well, I'll pull that one up next time. I apologize. Didn't have that one ready to go. Not a big deal. And either way, once you drop the template in, you're ready to go. So what I'd like to do is go ahead and make a quick thank you to our developers. We often thank a lot of different people in here, but the core thing here is our core charting developers. Jacob, Rob, Norman, Samuel, York, Ryan, Matt, John, Gus, and Dan. We couldn't have done this without these guys, and this is a flagship product we're proud of. With that being said, go ahead and please deliver any questions you may have, and I'm going to open up the Q&A panel. All right, so let's see here. Additional templates? Yes, we have several templates that we can go ahead and provide. So the question was, how many additional templates do you have? Well, out of the box with the core packages, I believe we have 4, which is the Hello World template you may have seen, and also the charting with the graphical user interface for just one chart, then a graphical user interface for more than one chart, as well as the 2 graphical user interfaces for 2 charts at the same time. And you can modify those and copy the code in there so you can have more than one. So you essentially can make it as many as you want. So we provide a lot of templating code for free, as well as the CSS and the JavaScript for the actual template. The things that are obfuscated or hidden are the functions that actually power what the chart does with that charting library, such as how it adds an indicator, things like that. Is there a template for an order book module? Yeah, we do have the template built into the any of our order book templates. So that module is going to work with our library. And again, thank you, Anurag. That was an excellent question. There's more than just order books. There's a trade book. I think we call them blotters sometimes. But yeah, you can see the templates in our HTML language. It's not hidden. It's right there, and you can apply it. A key thing to note about our templates is they're built with web components. Web components are essentially custom elements on the markup language file, and those custom elements come with their own JavaScript and CSS so that they do not bleed into other elements within the file. So we got a question here. What are some of the other premium modules that you offer? Well, we have life cycle events and post-trade visualization. So essentially that allows you to add a row underneath of the chart, and when that row is activated, you can click on any event there and it highlights the portion of the chart for you. And that gives you the ability to focus on your chart where a certain event in time occurred. We also have ChartIQ. ChartIQ is the ability to add your own indicators or script, as developers would call it, scripting language, which is JavaScript. They would write in their own indicators on the chart. Again, that's what your end users could do. Your company itself can add as many indicators to our library. Our charting library's indicator object is open to having more indicators added to it. But if you want your end users to do it, you can have them use that with ChartIQ. The other one is our term structure graph. That is a premium module as well. We showed you that a moment ago with that template. That term structure graph allows you to plot items outside of date and time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wait a couple more minutes, and if we get any additional questions, I'll go ahead and take them.
There's one from Eugene that says, can I add alternative data sets to the chart?
Yeah, absolutely. Alternative data sets. So here's like a way to think about data. First, we're very familiar with market data like open, high, low, close. And you plot that on a chart. You've got a date and a value, make a line, make a candle, anything like that. But when you're making decisions, there's other types of data like news, media, proprietary information that you're tracking, emails, things like that. So you can add additional data to our chart with our markers events, with our post-trade visualization or lifecycle event panel. And again, the whole point is to get as much data without cluttering the screen and making sure you delicately do that and make it look right. So yeah, you can add additional data as well. There's also different types of charts that you can integrate with our library. We are excellent with time series charts, and we've opened the door into X coordinate independent type style charts, which is alluding really to the idea that you can do categories in the X value instead of just having date. Also, we did some homework and we thought about adding new styles of charts, such as donuts, pie charts, blots, things like that. And we didn't want to go ahead and reinvent the wheel. We found that there are several open source libraries out there that do this really well. And so we eventually integrated D3 charts into our library. So if you're familiar with D3 charts, they do your pie charts or donut charts, things like that. And if you take a look at our active trader demo at our site, you can go ahead and find that, and I'll link that later after this call. There's an example of a D3 chart inside of our time series charts template. And again, it's really cool. It's showing you, especially as a developer in the background, you know how difficult that is to get those things together in one frame of reference. So yeah, great questions. How to pull in different data, such as contextual data like news information. We plot that with markers, time series at the same time with that. Different types of data visualization tools, such as our D3 library that we've integrated with, which is allows you to do donut charts and blots, things like that. Okay. So I don't have any additional questions at the moment. Again, I'll always tag on a couple more minutes after
There's
that.
one from Dan that says, Dan Schleifer that says, do the templates support Angular and React?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Dan Schleifer, our CEO, wants to give a nudge here. Angular and React, absolutely. So the cool thing is if you're using any JavaScript framework, our latest release, we took our web components and we really cleaned them up. We tightened them up so that if you wrap a web component with any one of your frameworks where they go element by element, and sometimes they call those components, you can contain each one of those and assemble your own template by just copying our templates and wrapping it with your framework. Out of the gates, we have a Angular framework ready to go with this newest update. Not out of the gates, but still just as functional as our React framework that we have ready to roll with it. But moving forward, the cool thing with our latest updates to our templates is that any framework can essentially do the same thing, and it just takes your developer a couple days, and they should be good to go. So the next most popular frameworks, usually Vue, is, can I do that with Vue as well? Absolutely. Take a look at our templates. Take a look, and again, this is speaking to those developers out there. Go to our website, demo.chartiq.com. Take a look under the hood, inspect the file. You're going to see all these custom elements called CQ-something. Now, all you have to think of is, okay, I open up my software or my language, my framework that I work with, and just wrap each one of those CQs, and you contain all the JavaScript and CSS that goes with that. Okay.
Next question. If I have multiple market data feeds, is there a way I can have all those data feeds attached to the main chart? We have a historical tick and forecasted data we'd like to show.
Can you ask that question one more time? I apologize.
If I have multiple market data feeds, is there a way that I can have all those data feeds attached to the main chart?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really cool. And even if you wanted to do forecasting, because that's kind of like a separate market feed as well. So if you go to our demo.chartiq.com and you just type in the word or the word for, FOR, it'll show you immediately two different data feeds. One is a forecasted data feed, which is basically an algorithm-based data feed. The other one is our simulated data feed. Again, it's a perfect instance of where you've got two different data feeds pumping into the chart, seeing it in real time. It's very, very cool.
Can you show us how the D3.js integration works in a sample if possible?
Yeah, I can show you a sample right away. And let's see here. Go ahead and jump in to, I have it ready. If I don't, I apologize. And I'll just say, let's go ahead. Actually, this is what I can do. I'll go into our actual template right here. Okay, so this will load. And here we've got Bitcoin versus USD and simulated data pumping in. And all that data is being used by our D3 money flow chart, as well as our regular chart here. And then, of course, our range slider so you can give context to where you are. And our depth chart getting L2 data as well. And our blotter data here as well. So I believe that should answer the question. I don't have the code ready, and I don't want to take too much time diving into that code with you guys. That would probably lose a lot of people on this webinar. I'd be happy to take that call, or if you guys send us an email if you want to take a look at that.
Next question, can you help me design custom visualizations using my own data sets?
Well, what we can do is show you our templates, pull it in, or if you take our library and you're going to build your own visualization, we can nudge you in the right direction. We're not a developer shop, but we're a library provider. However, we're always looking to help you get off on the right foot and make sure we can keep you moving forward. So if you do have a custom visualization in mind, contact us. We also can show you additional people who've worked with our libraries and have built custom visualizations for a lot of our clients.
Great, those are the only questions that I see. We can hang out. Oh, we got one more. My dev team is a bit limited. Does ChartIQ do proof of concepts?
Yeah, actually we do. That's a great question. It's something we've been moving into a lot more lately. So if you have a pretty extensive want and you're not really there with getting it off the ground, contact us and we'd be happy to work out a proof of concept with you.
Here's another question. Does the improvements for term structure mean that additional data sets, which are not market data or pricing, can now be plotted on the chart?
You nailed it. That is correct. The term structure allows you to put data sets that are not market data or pricing onto the chart. That's absolutely correct.
Those are all the questions I see for now. We can hang out for a few minutes just to see if any other people, once they take in what you've said, have any additional questions.
All right, I've got a good question.
Oh, here's an additional question. Is there a way to get some of the indicators you built into my alert screener?
So what you would use is a back office bit of development there. So you can take our indicators, which is basically one of our modules would be the study library, or server-side study library is what we call it, but really you can put it anywhere you want. So you don't have to build the actual indicators that filter or provide certain types of data. You just have to make sure that your screener does some sort of alert when it gets that response from that indicator. Okay, so that's the last question. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up now. And if you guys have any additional questions, please send a request to charting-solutions@chartiq.com for any pre-sales support or support at chartiq.com or info@chartiq.com. We will email a follow-up from this, providing additional information as well as any video links to this webinar. Again, thank you all for attending. It was a pleasure going over this with you, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Take care.